Hello, Bob. How are you?
Hi, Bettina. Nice to see you again.
So, Bob, tell us. So, this is Bob Carr. Bob, tell us where you live, what you're doing now, and a little bit about yourself and what excites you right now.
Uh, okay, well, I'm living in the Czech Republic. I have about a 25 hectare or 20 acre, about 14-hectare plot of land with a macrobiotic education center and my house, which are sort of combined on it. And it's called Wonderful Life Centrum. And it's actually a play on the word macrobiotics. Macro means, big, but macro comes from Sanskrit makara, maka, and maka had one of its many meanings beside big and great, like the Greek macro, is wonderful. And so my place is and macrobiotics is macro bio, so mine is Wonderful Life Centrum. So I have a lot of fun with that name without using the word macrobiotics, which I love, but I call it Wonderful Life Center. Anyway, so I have a macrobiotic education center, but mostly I'm hosting events from yoga, meditation, healing, massage, dancing, drumming circles, and I'm not doing as much teaching as I have in the past, but hosting these events, and then they ask me a lot of questions about food and cooking and stuff. I don't do the cooking, but I help organize that kind of thing. But my passion these days is I'm doing farming and gardening. My ex-wife, my Czech wife, ex-Czech wife, she did the beautiful flower gardens and herb gardens, and the place here is spectacularly beautiful. But I was more interested in the vegetable gardens and growing grains and beans and things like that. So that's what I did. And I'm doing experimental agriculture. Of course, I've divided my farming area into sections, and one is organic. Everybody knows that. One is biodynamic because I'd read Rudolf Steiner's books on biodynamic farming in German years ago. And then one section is Fukuoka style growing. Fukuoka style is that you just throw the seeds out there and you don't have to plant or anything. Well, I never believed it, and I tried it before, it didn't work. But this time when I threw rye out, my combine wasn't very good. And it only got about 80% of the rye, and the rest kind of sprinkled all over the field. So for the next 2 or 3 years, the rye kept coming up. I didn't have to plant it. I said, this is what Fukuoka was doing. But then the weeds took over, so I have to plow every couple of years. And then, so anyway, this is part of the experimental stuff. And then I have a permaculture format for the whole property, more or less. And then I'm doing the Siberian stuff from Anastasia. And the only I've had trouble because you have to have your own seeds. I'm not you put seeds in your mouth so that they can be informed, about your DNA, and you put them in your hand to get your chakra energy, and then you blow on them so that you're informing the seed about prana and so on and so forth. But I didn't have my own seed. Now I have a whole bunch of my own seeds. So I'm going to do that method more and more because I want to see if the premise upon which that method was designed really works. That is, the Vladimir Magray says the person he learned the method from, a woman named Anastasia, said this method will cure anything because the plant will specifically grow for your needs because you've informed it about yourself, your DNA, chakra, prana, and other factors. So I'm skeptical, but it's very interesting. So that's one of the things, one of my 5 experimental agriculture projects, because I want this place to be a demonstration place where people can see, one, there are different ways to grow things. They can try food coming from different growing methods. and I can see what works for myself and demonstrate it for others. So it's taken me a while, because about 4 years ago, I got divorced and had to pay a huge amount of money, and all my equipment broke down. So it took a year to repair. But now I have the seeds, all the equipment is going, and I paid off my, the divorce settlement. So, and now I've saved up some money, so I'm ready to go full bore into the agriculture. That is my passion now. So in the past, my passion was, I like to, teaching macrobiotics, but under macrobiotics, I like to teach shiatsu. And for 10 or 15 years, I taught Douyin at the French Meadows Macrobiotic Summer Camp in California for maybe 20 years, I don't know. And so those are some of my former passions, along with music. And now my present passion is continuing macrobiotics, but especially with agriculture. So that brings you up to date a little bit.
Yes, and in that regard, I mean, because for the Body, Soul, and Spirit Summit, which is coming up now in April, I have asked you to teach a class on exercises, and you agreed to teach about Douyin and some special, Douyin and some special background information, anything you wish to share about the class you're going to teach, and, to let people know what they might expect.
Okay, yeah, sure. Well, Douyin is traditionally thought of, it was introduced by Osawa and especially Michio Kushi, but it was popularized in the United States by Jacques de Langres. And he wrote the first 2 books on Douyin, book 1, book 2. And at that time, it was Douyin as morning exercise. And he eventually passed away, and I took over his classes at the French Meadows Summer Camp. And so everybody thinks Douyin and these are just morning exercises, but really Douyin is not that at all. It's that plus. Douyin is in and of itself the 2 words, do and yin. Do is the same as Tao, and Tao means the way. And yin comes from the Japanese word for yin. Yin means the infinite expansion. And today we might call that spirit, but for everyday people, rather than spirit, I call it energy. So Douyin is the way of energy and how to apply it with various exercises. So whereas usually people do Douyin for morning exercises, but it can also be applied for going to bed exercises, or for developing mental strength or physical strength, or for any number of things. So it's not limited to morning exercises. So I want to present that. And then people often think that Douyin is just as Japanese special exercises. It's not. Real Douyin, the way of energy, has been taught through all major cultures, ancient traditions and cultures. And some of them are very, very interesting. For example, like Cleopatra, she would take her hand and bend in and go out. Well, why did she do it? This is the kind of thing I want to explain, why she did that. And the Mayan Indians, they didn't take their hand, you've seen Cleopatra dancing like this. I can't demonstrate it properly that way. But in the Mayan, they did the same movement, but not on a horizontal, they did it vertically. And they brought the hand into the heart chakra. So this has a very different effect. And these are ancient traditional Douyin exercises. And what they mean and what effect they have, how they work, this is what I'd like to explain in a little bit more detail. It would take more time. But beyond that is we don't have to do these sort of esoteric movements, like Tai Chi is an example of Douyin that many people know. But for some people, it's very complicated. Other people do it every day. But you can simplify Douyin when you don't have time, or you don't have time even to study these other methods. They're very simple approaches. For example, the sun salutation, famous movement in yoga, it's 12 parts and can be difficult for some people, but you can get basically the same effect just by bending your waist forward or turning your trunk sideways. So a lot of these exercises have extremely simple, easy to do. Anybody old or young can do it. And a spectrum all the way up to very sophisticated spiritual exercises. So that, in a nutshell, is what I would like to do when I have much more time, is to go into the details of this and explain. For example, people see somebody bowing and they think, well, they're kowtowing or they're being humble. Yes, this is true. However, there are biological effects and why this is so powerful and why people have done it. And for that matter, when we bow, of course, we fold ourselves and make ourselves compact. And in the Orient, some people bow every day or many times a day. In the Muslim culture, they do they bow to Mecca 5 times a day. And the moves are very, very similar. And there are biological reasons. Everybody, they don't know the biological reasons of why these are so effective and why people don't mind doing them. So that's it in a nutshell. Just take what I said here, expand it by, what do I have, 45 minutes or an hour?
About 45 minutes and then some question
And then
answer.
Q&A. Yeah. So that's the general drift.
And I wish to share that, I mean, Bob really does have fabulous insight and depth to anything that he shares. So I am really looking forward to your class, and I think people can really benefit from it because you're simplifying so much that it doesn't need to become this complex structure where one only gets overwhelmed. Can I do it? But you're making it simple, and that is really wonderful.
Yeah, from simple to sophisticated, it's each person's choice. Bettina, I have a question for you.
Yes.
How can I and anybody else who's seeing this know how they can come to your event and like I can promote it, but how? Is it on a website? Is it are you advertising on radio or Google or?
Well, right now I finished putting it up on my website, which is bluepearlearth.com, www.bluepearlearth.com. And of course, I will also put it on Facebook and Instagram and maybe some other places, but those are the primary areas where I will be advertising. And I will also send you a link.
No, that's great. If I have the web link, if I put it in my Facebook page, it automatically brings up the picture, what you have. That's all I have to do is put the link there and the picture comes up automatically. And that way I can get it out to people. I also have a mailing list of 1,700 people. And if I just put that link and people are curious and click on it, then they'll know. Most of my people, though, not all, but most are in the Czech Republic. But it sounds like you have an international audience.
Well, I do have an international audience, some from Europe, some, of course, or the majority, I would say, from the US. But yeah, that's
Bettina,
online.
Bettina, is it okay if I speak English, or should I give this talk in Czech or German?
Well, if so, in German. Forget about Czech. I'm sorry, because but certainly, please, in English.
Yes, of course. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
I know.
My German is, I lived there for 5 years and I was fluent, but it's been 20 years since I've used it on a daily basis. So English is my preferred language too.
No, that will be just fine. So please, in English. Anything else you wish to add or share? Otherwise, I am looking forward to our event.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. Well, the place here is so beautiful that I am booked for events on every weekend. We're full. But if people are interested, especially from America, in seeing one of the most beautiful areas of the Czech Republic and having, macrobiotic food, and I'm in a spectacular place, beautiful. You can organize an event where a whole group of people can come. I have about room for 20 people and a big industrial kitchen and things like that. So if people are interested and would like to come to the Czech Republic, they can either organize it themselves, but it has to be for next year because I'm booked out for this year.
And I have to say, you can see the pictures of your place online under your Wonderful Life Center. Is that right?
Wonderful Life Center. It's not wonderful. It is wonderful, but the words it's two words, or otherwise it doesn't come up on Google.
Life Center. I'll put it underneath in the description too, so that people can see. But you can see the pictures of your place. It is absolutely fabulous. So
it
I'll
is
put it there so people can see it.
I wish all the people could see it. And for example, even in the winter, every day I go out and get fresh kale, carrots, onions, squash. Every day I'm still eating the vegetables I've stored, and the kale and Brussels sprouts are still, even in the snow, they're there, they're vibrant. And so this is a part of the charm of the place, is very, very fresh food. And another thing, we have the best water in the Czech Republic. I'm in a protected area because there's some rare bird in the forest above my property. And so there's not allowed to do any pollution of the soil. So the air is clean, the water is great, the food is fresh, the neighbors are all friendly, and the environment is spectacular. So anyway, that's what we've got over here.
That is wonderful. We should plan an event. All right. Thank you, Bob.
Great to see you again. I look forward to seeing and sharing with everybody in April.
Yes, me too. Thanks.
Finished?